It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls, and
Badass Slingshots.
Yes, another live edition of the Up North Journal podcast.
Live and Outdoors.
Something new that we're trying today, so we're going to see how this works. Hopefully everybody can hear us. And for those of you listening to the podcast, yeah, we got microphones on out here as well. We're doing a little recording out in the field.
Right.
So bear with us.
We're outside. It's August and it's 70 degrees.
Yeah.
It's beautiful out here.
Feels like fall.
It's cloudy, so we don't have direct sunlight, so we're not blinded.
Right.
So it's kind of awesome.
You won't get sunburned.
I won't get sunburned. But before we start the show, before we say anything, a big shout out to the people down in Texas.
Absolutely. You know, we've got a couple buddies down there, Jason Sacco from Jason Outdoor Adventures podcast over on the Outdoor Podcast channel. Shameless plug there. Sorry, Jason, but big shout out. I think he's in San Antonio, and so is Paul Locke, another one of our listeners down in San Antonio. Man, you guys stay high and dry.
They're talking like 50 inches of rain.
It's incredible. I mean, it's just incredible to think how much rain those guys are getting and what's already happened down on the coast as well. Over into Louisiana, and the rain, I think, is heading up Arkansas maybe as well. I haven't watched a lot of weather this weekend.
Right now, it's not moving till at least Tuesday.
Right, and that's the other thing. They're talking about, how much rain they're getting, and it's going to stay there till Tuesday. Hey, Jim Beasley, who just joined, appreciate you joining us tonight.
Great Bowfest yesterday, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in just a second. But, everybody down on the coast, down in the southern regions down there, stay high and dry. Our thoughts and prayers to you. I don't know what it's like. Never. I'm not going to pretend to know what it's like to be in something like that, but just want you to know we're all thinking about you guys down there. So
absolutely. Charles Byram.
He's high and dry in Iowa. Good news up there, So, but no, we're just talking about everybody down in Texas. Man, every time I turn TV on, man, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Exactly.
So,
but anyways, you guys stay high and dry down there, and but we're outside tonight,
shooting our bows. We're gonna try something a little different. Bear with us tonight. Hopefully, you guys on the live stream can hear us here. We got the rig set up outside tonight, and we're got a little distance between us, but we're gonna try this and see how it works tonight.
Right.
For those of you on the live stream. So, if somebody's out there listening, type in there. Let us know that our audio is okay, if you could, please.
That's good.
And for those of you on the podcast, bear with us as well, because you're going to hear some stuff out here, bows shooting and
trucks going by.
Yeah, we're just going to see how
Birds
this
flying.
thing rolls. It's something different that we wanted to try tonight.
And we like to do it before it gets like below freezing.
Right.
Deb says everything's okay.
Good. Hey, Jacob Abrams. Hey, man, good. Thanks. One of our fans who's training a tracking dog.
Absolutely.
So,
how's that going?
Hopefully everything's going well with that.
Jim Beasley, A-OK.
All right, so audio's good. We're clean, ready to go. You ready to start this show?
All right, let's do it.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams. I'm with Dan DeFaw, and we are outside the cabin. We are out live in my backyard.
We are.
We're going to do a little shooting tonight with the bows as well as live streaming. Hey, there goes the goose.
Yeah, if you listen closely.
Put the bow down. Don't be drawing on.
I ain't losing an arrow. All right. I tell you what.
What was yesterday like, man?
Today's the day after Bowfest.
Yeah.
First things first, the bow is blessed.
He got his bow blessed, so that means you're going to be able to shoot straight?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. The big guy upstairs says, Dan, you did good.
All right.
I would like to shoot something.
Besides foam and paper?
Yes.
All right.
There is no doubt about it. But after yesterday, I tell you what, it was beautiful weather. It was sunny. It was 75, no humidity. And in the morning, you were downtown.
I was in Flint, downtown working. I had to be to work at 3:30 in the morning.
But in the morning, wasn't it not cool giving you that October effect?
I was sitting high on a 12-story building. I was on the roof, so let's make it 13. And I was watching the sun crest on the horizon. I was up there before it actually came up, but it was so cool. You see the morning star in the sky and watching the sun come up and shine over top of downtown Flint. A lot of bad things have been said about Flint, but I tell you what, I had the best view of the day waking up. It was beautiful. So I got to sit down there and watch, I don't know, a couple thousand people run this 10-mile road race from high above my perch. So it was good.
It was cool in the morning. The ceremony, I tell you what, at 9 o'clock when the band started playing, the Holly Marching Band started playing, and then the VFW were there, and they performed the national anthem for the crowd, and then we had a little ceremony, the 21 gun salute with taps, and then the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. It
brought a tear to your eye?
Deb said it best. She goes, "I just gotta chill," and I was like, "Yep." And you sit there and you reflect back on where this country's gone, been, where it's going.
Feels good to be patriotic, doesn't it?
It does. I thought about my dad. He was in Korea, and
I did not know that.
It gets to you when they play taps. That is just
right.
But no, and then we had a prayer to open up the store, and Jim was graceful enough to open up 5 minutes early.
Really?
Really.
All right.
And the day began, and it was fun. Spent the day with Dan Yassa.
Man, oh man, I tell you what, I think Danny and my education into archery is just starting to begin, because we got Jim Beasley from Spot Shooter, now we got Dan Yasser from PSE, and we got Chris Schnurr from Cabela's. We got 3 mentors that can teach us a little bit about what we're doing wrong,
and trust me, he'll let you know.
So you've been talking with Dan Yassa quite a bit and working through some things.
Every time I picked up my bow, he shook his head. That's not a good thing. I think he shook his head when I opened up my bow case. But anyways, having him there with Jim Beasley and Chris Schnurr, I think our knowledge of bows is increasing every time we meet or every hour we talk.
What really gets me is, stick and string. These are far from stick and string,
And speaking of Chris.
Hey, Chris Schnurr's on it. All right.
He's right there.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, Dave Hamby, thanks for joining tonight. It just amazes me, the technology in the thinking that goes into bows and the little tiny things that make such a huge difference to make us better in the field. Because if you can take an old fat country boy like me and make me hit a bullseye, and putting groupings together at 20 yards, 30, 40, and then step out at 50 and 60 and shooting and hitting pretty consistently, they've actually done something, because, all this together is making all of us, fairly consistent archers out there if you put a little practice, a little time in it, and get that consistency in the right form.
And if Dan keeps talking, we're going to be shooting more paper next year.
That's something that we talked about yesterday. Actually, you and I have been talking about since he took us to Ohio.
Since he got us hooked.
When we started shooting in the state of Ohio, launching arrows into the state of Michigan.
Which is kind of cool.
That was kind of cool.
That was.
I actually lost an arrow in Michigan, and I launched it from Ohio. Go figure that.
Wasn't that pretty cool? And then you walked from Michigan to Ohio.
Yeah.
And
Ohio to Michigan, and Michigan to Ohio. But this course laid right on the state line. It was pretty cool.
It was cool.
So, but no, kind of getting back to Bowfest yesterday. It was a great day. I got there at about noon. Matter of fact, a good buddy of mine, our camp manager, but even more importantly, a friend of mine, John Riegel, showed up. And actually, what are you doing staring into the camera?
I'm reading the question by Chris Schnurr that says, yes, you need to shoot paper.
Yep, I know. He's been honest about that.
We will.
But my buddy John Riegel showed up, and
I wish you would have said hi.
He came in. He bought some gear. I think he bought it from Don. I think Don was the one.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's who he waited on him. He said he saw you there. He said you were in deep thought and conversation with somebody, so he didn't want to bother you.
Okay.
And he went in. He made his purchase. He bought a bunch of gear, and he made his way out the door. And I'm like, dude, I said, why didn't you tell me you're coming into town? I said, we'd roll the red carpet out for you.
He's sneaky like that.
He is sneaky. But he was in town and he picked up some gear. But I think the highlight of the day for Bowfest for me was helping and watching a 4, 5, 6-year-old girl shoot a bow. I'm assuming a compound bow for the first time. And it was the PSE mini burner. They come over and looked at it, and they kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit, the mom and dad, and just said, okay, maybe. They went over. We had the Cabela's archery game there.
Yep.
And Robin was helping the little girl shoot. She started hitting. I think they hit a couple balls and knocked them out of the air on the game.
Yeah.
And I saw them over there, and they were having fun. I said, if you want to shoot this bow, the mini burner, we can get you back over here. I said, we'll get it set up, and we'll get her to shoot. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, that's what we're here for, man. We're here to help today.
That's right. That's why we were there.
Got the little girl over, and Dan Yasta got the bow all set up, and got her there, he kneeled down on, got on her level, and and got it all set up. And she's shooting. The first couple didn't hit the bail, and he kind of adjusted her just a little bit, and she started hitting the bail.
How's that smile on her face?
And everybody's high-fiving and clapping and carrying on. So, but yeah, watching that little girl smile and laugh and the high fives and everything, it was incredible to watch the sparkle in a young girl's eye catch fire, and she's going to be bugging mom and dad from now to Christmas to get her a new bow. So actually, that bow was just a touch long. It was a little long for her, but you know what? They grow like weeds. They do, but Dan came up with the perfect solution. The PSE Guide Series, they sell it down at Cabela's.
Oh yeah.
So they're going to maybe make a trip down to our new Chesterfield store and maybe have Chris set up one of those bows for her. So hopefully that'll be the case.
So Chris, we're sending customers your way.
That's
down
right.
At Cabela's.
But I think that was really the highlight of my day.
You know what? There's nothing better, and there was several kids there throughout the day that it's always good to see them picking up a bow, whether it's the archery game or over a PSE booth or wherever they were at, just getting the bug and showing new people how to, new young people, even old people that get a crossbow. They're staying out there, but it's always nice to see them picking up, showing them for the first time. Like you said, when they hit that bail for the first time, it's magical. I mean, I do my little video blog, through the week, Mystical Flight of the Arrow, but truly, I stole that from Ted Nugent. I mean, that's his line, it's not mine, but the Mystical Flight of the Arrow, that is truly mystical and magical when you can put a stick on a string and connect it to another stick and launch it and hit something at distance and hit where you're aiming. I mean, there's just something that magical about it.
Magical and mystical, man. It's in our DNA, to get out and hunt and shoot things.
And we always say this time and time again, but when they come back and if they have a story to tell, and as they tell the story, the smile just gets wider and wider and wider. Right on. You can't beat that at all. So.
Well, and maybe one day, because we put that spark in that little girl's eye to shoot archery and give her that opportunity, and Dan helped her and coached her through that. One day we might be reading about her at the Olympics. You never can tell.
It might be out shooting Dan someday.
Yeah, you just don't know where it's going to go.
Right, exactly. So
speaking of out shooting people, you and I had a little challenge yesterday.
We did.
Yeah. How did that turn out?
We tied.
Yeah, we did. I'm just giving him a hard time.
He tried, but we tied. We actually tied.
Yeah.
We went to the archery game ourselves.
Yes, we did.
We had to prove a point.
And we proved that we're pretty much equal.
Right.
We're both idiots.
I won the first one. He won the second one. And on the third round, the rubber match, there's 4 balls, and we each got 2.
Yeah, so it worked out.
It was good.
Did we not have a shoot-off after that again or not?
No, we didn't.
We only shot 3 times.
We called it a day.
Okay.
We didn't want to get embarrassed.
Well, I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our first break. Why don't we? I'd say we'd step outside, but we're already outside, and we're going to take our first break while we're here. We come back, we're going to do a little shooting, and we'll be talking, and you guys can watch us shoot. And I don't know where this is going to go.
I don't know. We're just going to shoot.
We're going to try this to see what happens. But
right, we're just going to do a little shooting here.
We're going to take our first break. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
All right, we're back. Second segment of the show, everybody.
We're still outside.
How you shooting there?
I'm hitting the bail.
You're hitting the bail.
I feel comfortable.
Are you hitting the bull?
I'm down there somewhere. I'm shooting the top left.
You're shooting the top left bull?
Yeah.
All right. Should I give him a wet willy while he's shooting? No, probably not. It probably wouldn't be a good thing. All right, looking good there.
All right, your turn.
Okay.
So yeah, yesterday at Jim Beasley's was a great day talking with Dan, and then you'll hear it next week on the podcast. We talked to him in a couple segments that we did do.
Actually, next week's show is pre-recorded.
Yeah, we just finished up next week's show, so stay tuned for all that good conversation. Talked with Dan about arrows, basically from the tip to the nock. Talked to Dan about practicing on not having a dot on the animal.
Kind of like shooting at these bullseyes, but not having a bullseye to shoot at.
Right. And then we talked to another gentleman about heroes on the water. Really cool. So, but it's almost like golf. You just want to be quiet when the guy's going to shoot.
Don't be quiet.
Kind of weird.
I can talk.
Can you
Actually,
walk?
it's a lot like golf because when you're having a bad game, you start wanting to throw your gear.
I don't throw my gear because
I've never
costs too
thrown my
much.
gear, but I've never played golf either. I
Well-
got another arrow to shoot. You just
I'm
simmer
just
down.
putting my bow. Don't step on my bow.
I won't
You
step
need a
on
bow
your
holder.
I do need a bow holder.
He does. I should make him one.
Why don't you do that?
No, we're just out here shooting, trying something different tonight before it gets cold and we can't get outside and we're stuck in the cabin. But no, we're just
You
out
stay
here.
there and tell everybody, I'm going to score your arrows for you.
All right, you score them. But anyways, yeah, Bowfest yesterday was just fantastic. People coming in throughout the day. The Cabela's tent,
For those of you who are on the podcast,
4-H
Danny's back
group had their bake sale. They did really well.
I'm down here.
Actually, it's kind of cool. They had somebody
And I'm
come
gonna
in.
talk over 'em. I have
It
to
was an
write
older
this
couple. They came
mic
in.
down.
And they were in the 4-H years ago, and they specifically came, I guess, to see them and the 4-H, and they donated some money to them, so that was pretty
Actually,
cool.
he
They
might
come back.
have outshot me. That
They
round.
did a little walk around of what was going on, but
know
they
if
were
I should tell
specifically
them.
there for the 4-H. So that's always
I
cool.
was talking while you were talking, so
Great.
dude,
Got my arrows?
I got your arrows. You can't see this on the podcast, but on the live stream.
You like that?
What in the world is
I
that?
flattened it out.
What did you hit?
I'm trying to remember what I hit. Oh, that was at the 3D shoot I did that.
Get rid of that tip.
You
Here,
got an extra one?
here. I'll give you one.
Will you give me, because my box is not in my,
I'll give you one of yours back that you loaned me at one point.
probably.
Well, you did. Remember
at
when
the
we were down in
shoot?
Ohio.
Oh, there you go.
So
So you talked over me as we talked.
yeah, I was giving you grief down there.
Oh, good. But I was telling people about the 4-H. There was an older couple that came, and specifically for 4-H,
Right?
that they dealt with 4-H years ago.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of cool. They made a good donation to them, and
Nice.
watching the kids shoot the archery game is always cool.
How did they do at the booth? Did they get?
I haven't heard
pretty
the
good
final
day?
numbers, but
Okay.
they were doing good at one point. So.
Okay, they're hoping to make enough money to buy all their paper targets for the year.
Yeah, they're hoping. They did really good last year, and they ended up buying 3 targets last year. They're hoping this year that they make enough money to get all their paper targets.
Okay, all right.
So, but then having the PSE there and the vendors there, it's just a great day to get into bow hunting or check out the new stuff.
Absolutely. Well, they just unveiled their target bows, and we got to shoot them. Actually, that's something we can talk about here. That was the PSE Shootdown,
Yes, it was.
and it was a standard riser bow. It wasn't a shoot-through bow.
Nope, it was an off-the-ledge bow.
What did you think about it?
Oh, yeah, awesome. Evolve cam system. They've got something in this cam system is so smooth that it's just, I don't know. I really can't put words to it. Then they put it on the target bow.
PSE Evolve Cam System.
It was a really cool green.
You know, I've never, ever shot a target bow before. That was the first time I ever shot a target bow in my
Okay.
life. And I was blown away at the way it felt. It was light. The thing, you know, I mean, I shoot, you know, short axle to axle. That's what I prefer to shoot. You know, it's all in that geometry of your body and your height and all that stuff. Typically, taller people shoot longer bows than shorter bows. Like you and me, we shoot, you know, usually 31, 32, 33
Yep.
axle to axle. And this one was what? It was at 36, 37?
That was the 37, I think.
37 shoot down.
And they go up to 40.
And that was the max, and I can't remember the first name of it. It's a two name bow. They just introduced him here a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So he had the shoot down. To me, the difference was it felt. I know it's the same cam system, but it's a little bit smaller cam. But the way that bow felt, being a longer bow, it set. If that
Setting your
makes-
hand nice?
It just set. You know, it made it to where the balance of the bow, the way it was distributed, I didn't have that need to feel to want to move. You know, it just kind of
Push it back. It just
It
felt
sat there.
evenly in your hand.
Yeah. And then when I launched the arrow, it felt like it exploded out of the bow.
It did. It really did. You wasn't shooting far distances, obviously shooting into a trailer, and that was just a bare bow.
Yeah, it felt different. I mean, I can't describe it, but it didn't feel like shooting a hunting bow per se.
Right. And it's just, and then they're going to come out with the other one that's got the shoot through riser, which I hope to shoot here. And that shoot down bow is just, and it's so easy to work on these bows. I couldn't believe we were discussing, even when it went down to the little girl, but the ease of working on these bows is a couple screws here or there, and you're changing things.
The way this is set up, you know, you got these letters on here and the corresponding the screws that match up with the hole. Like mine's set on it right here. If you can see it, it's a G for my draw length. But what he's talking about, you just loosen a couple screws, you turn the mod for your draw length, and bang.
Right. It's I don't know, and you don't need a bow press, you don't need nothing, you don't need a module.
We've talked about this with bows for years, you know, the last couple, 2, 3, 4 years of what they've done to them, but it's still mind blowing.
It is,
you know, at the way these things work and the way you can work on them.
And then if they, they tell you about preloading the limbs, if these limbs go, what happens?
Right.
So
yeah, because these limbs right here, this when you take this off the bow, this limb it's straight. So you can see how much of a preload these things have on them. It's
right.
It's just incredible
what
they've advanced to.
That shoot down was something.
Well, why don't you shoot down there again?
All right, I will.
Make sure this guy can shoot.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're trying a little something different. We're doing a little live streaming here and shooting.
While we can outside.
While we're podcasting.
Before we turn into ice fishermen.
You know, I had a good question today, or not a question, but a thought. I was talking with my buddy John, and he said that he likes to shoot outside when it's snowing hard in a snowstorm to mimic hunting out of a tree stand when it's snowing. You know, do anybody out there that's listening to the podcast, I mean, send us an email or on Facebook, let us know, but or even here on the live stream, do you go out in inclement weather and shoot your bow? You know, whether it be snowing, windy, raining, anything like that, or do you hunt in the rain? Do you hunt when it's windy? Do you hunt when it's snowing incredibly hard out of a tree stand with no cover? Do you?
I don't practice. I really, it seems like after October 1st, I very rarely go out and practice anymore.
Really? You don't practice? Do you take your stuff and practice at camp?
Yes.
Okay.
I do take my bow, well, obviously.
Okay.
And we have a target up there, and just in case, sling a couple arrows, especially since I'm traveling 8 hours.
Right.
And I don't know where my bow's been. But if I get a chance, I usually shoot it we got a 3D target up there and make sure it's still on, or I take a bag with us.
Yeah, I've got a bag just like that yellow one there. The good one, not the bad one that we've blown the center out of. It looks like it's throwing up over there. I don't know if you can see it or not in the live stream, but yeah, I've got another bag like that at camp.
Okay.
I keep in my room, and I take it out and I'll shoot. You know, make sure everything's still on, or just kind of get that form back. You know, make sure everything's rocking along the way it should be. So,
why don't you shoot?
All right, I'll shoot.
You know, and speaking of shooting while we're up there, always on windy days. Oh, Chris shoots constantly during the winter.
Indoor or outdoor?
Indoor.
Yeah.
Indoor.
Yeah.
But anyways,
put your coat on and your snow boots.
He's shooting that paper. It probably melts in the winter.
Right.
Another thing is, do you guys, anybody out there, before you go on a hunt in the morning, especially when it's getting cooler, do you guys stretch or anything? Or maybe when you get there, you get into your stand, do you stretch? Do you practice? Do you pull back your bow, make sure everything's good? It's a good question. I get out there and I might pull back the bow in October, you know, just to make sure that that it all feels good to me. Make sure I don't get a creak out of it.
Do you ever pull back on a deer that you don't intend to shoot to see if you can get away with getting through a draw cycle?
No.
You don't?
I'm trying to think with a bow, I don't think I have. With a crossbow, yeah, or a gun, yeah. But
put the crosshairs on?
Right, but not with I don't think I've ever pulled back on a deer. It's just way too easy to pull the trigger.
Well, you got to make sure your hand's behind the trigger.
I know, but I can't shoot anything anyway, so it's like...
Well, that's my point. If you can go through that draw cycle, can you make the draw?
I think I'm afraid to give away my spot.
You don't, well, that's true,
If you get busted...
Well, that's why you got to be good.
Well, you got to be good. No, that's a good question. You know, because we're out here shooting flat, you know, so it's like, you know, can you get away with that? That's a good question.
Well, I threw that one high.
High.
I threw that hip up. I didn't have my back so I could feel it.
Uh-oh, he's throwing his hip out. It'll be his knee next.
No, my knees are already shot, buddy.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But,
already shot.
yeah, it's a good time to be out here and just kind of running through our practice shots while we're doing the little live cast in here. So it's kind of cool. Gives us something to do. Rather than sitting in the cabin when we're stuck in the cabin. All right, can I go get the arrows this time?
Yeah, don't laugh. Don't talk about me.
I won't.
I'm going to have to keep an eye on him because I know he's going to be saying something under his breath back there, making fun of me. So, Jim Beasley, always on a windy day. Yeah, I remember Jim talking actually when he was shooting. I believe you said it was at Nationals, and the wind was blowing so bad you guys were having to aim almost like off the bail to make your shots. It was blowing. It had such a hard crosswind blowing. Don't be talking about me, Danny. I told you I shot high.
See, and we're both shooting zombies tonight.
Oh, you are shooting zombies tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm shooting zombies of last year, and you're shooting zombies of this year.
Okay, right on. Black Eagle zombies.
Yeah.
Other than my one errant shot there.
You did good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're there.
Killing deer?
We're definitely killing deer.
All
There's
right.
no doubt about it.
I'll tell you what, we're into this segment here long enough. We need to take our second break. We're going to continue to stay outside as we take this break. We come back, well, Danny and I got a couple things going on up at camp this weekend that we're going to be talking about where we're headed to. So we're going to continue to stay outside, take this break, and we'll be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
You got a little present in the mail from your friendly forester.
Yes.
And what is the results of said package?
Okay, so we had our forest logged, and I'm going to enter my property in the Forestry Act. So I needed the forester to write me a plan.
Forestry management plan.
What we wanted to do is so I needed him to write a forestry plan. And basically, starting with the logging, you start from scratch. He took my 80 acres that I have, and he broke it into 5 sections.
Okay.
And one of the sections we're going to not touch ever. We're going to use that as a buffer to the creek.
Okay. Kind of like a little sanctuary.
Yep. We're not going to touch that. And plus, really, the section that he's talking about, you go down a steep incline to get to the bottom of the swamp and to the creek. Really, to do any logging in there is probably not worthwhile overall. Mm-hmm. And then he broke the other 4 up into different sections. 2 of the sections are standing still. The other 2 are practically clear cut.
That's what you've already worked on for this this last cut. Okay.
Right. So he select cut the whole property, really. Mm-hmm. Clear cut some. What he did in select cutting, he went through and he cut all the crooked trees.
Okay.
So everything's now straight and good for upcoming when we have to harvest again.
And they're good for tree stands.
And they're good for tree stands. And then from there, he said the plan is a 20-year plan.
Okay.
So it's good from 2017 to 2037.
Okay.
And basically, in the management side of it, I don't have to do anything really until 2030.
Okay, so you get between now and 2030.
Right. And then when we get to there, we're going to go in and do some select cutting.
On one of the sections?
On one of the sections. Actually...
or both of the other 2?
Both of the other 2. And the other is 2030 and I think 2040 are the scheduled dates that would have to be more logging. Okay. And that's about 20 years out, a little over 20, right? And that's almost about... See, we had the property logged in 89, 90. Mm-hmm. So just about that time.
Gotcha.
But so hopefully this week I'll finish that up and I'll be in the forestry program hopefully by September 1st.
That's good. And what does that give you being in the forestry program?
What that does is it helps you out on the tax side of it. It cuts your taxes by 40%. Now, if you ever leave the plan, you got to pay back taxes to that with penalty.
With a penalty.
Right.
So once you get into it, you got to follow the plan. You got to adhere to it and don't leave it.
Right, and the plan can change at any time. You talk with your forester, you keep them involved, and that can, if you come up with ideas to do more. And this is, for 80 acres, it's 88 pages.
Wow.
And he's got everything in there from how to build a road, if you want to put a road in, to plant species, to if you start looking for what to look for, other stuff. Right now, in the report, it says that we don't have no oak wilt or budworm.
Spruce bud?
Yep, don't have any of that right now.
Wish I could say that.
Right. So as of right now, there's nothing on the property. Fish-wise, everything's all set. Don't have to do anything with that. But, yeah, you just have to follow the plan now, and you get 40% off your taxes.
It's a great way to build your habitat, manage your habitat, do something and give back to wildlife and be a conservationist. But it helps you out in the long run because you make money off the logs, so that puts revenue in your pocket. And also you get a tax break, which keeps money in your pocket instead of it coming out. So it's a win-win-win, for anybody out there that's considering this and you got a big enough piece of land. And what's the requirement?
I think the minimum is 20 acres.
20 acres, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think the minimum is 20 acres. So if you've got 20 acres and like to get a little tax break, looking at the plan, if you've logged it, you're basically starting from scratch. So I really don't have to do nothing for at least 13 years. So it's not really a hard plan.
Right.
Now, if you have other acreage that maybe you wanted to start cutting, and you can do it in increments. So I think you're doing it in increments.
Yeah, we are. Actually, our cut right now, due to what happened last winter with the early thaw, they had to pull out of our property early. So our cut's not completed yet. They were supposed to be back in here in August, but because of the weather and the amount of rain that they've had up in our area in northeastern Michigan, they're actually behind. So our harvest isn't going to happen now until December, right after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the second week of December. So it's going to be after rifle season. Good, bad, and different. We're still getting it done. But the problem we've got now is we still got oak wilt. We're supposed to have, I think this week or next week, they're supposed to come in a quarantine area, build the perimeter of what we've got.
Yeah, okay,
we have to take care of the oak inside that perimeter. And we've talked about that process as well before, but that's what we got to do. But also the spruce budworm in the other areas that we haven't harvested yet, it's almost like they kicked it into high gear and working overtime. These little bugs are really going to town and killing trees, And it's like, okay, so if you're thinking about, well, I don't want to cut my trees down, it's just not for me. Well, it may not be for you, but you got to think about, well, what happens if we've got these bugs coming in, these diseases that are taking and killing your trees, and then you're going to wind up with matchsticks sticking out.
Okay, so that's exactly what also the plan is calling out. Is he basically, I did like a little questionnaire as to how what I want to do with my land.
Right.
But in there he says we're working on preventing fire control, working on invasive species. Working on the bugs problems.
Right.
By doing that, we're identifying right now there's nothing in the area. We've taken care of it for any type of fire. So that way, if they're ungodly, if there is a fire, and we might be able to help stop it.
Well, if you remember, what was it, 5, 6, 7 years ago, up in the middle of the Upper Peninsula, I believe it was 2012 or 13. It was 2012 because my buddy's cabin burned. Actually, I think his cabin was right where the lightning strike started, and it kind of spread from that community he was in.
Really?
Yeah, and it went through, no pun intended, went through like wildfire. I mean, it just torched the whole area.
It took his cabin.
It took his cabin, took his pole barn. I mean, it turned a skid loader into a puddle of molten metal. It got that hot. So you can just imagine if you've got dead trees sticking up because you've got an invasive species that's come through like the spruce budworm or disease like oak wilt, and it kills your trees, and then you got dead wood standing there just waiting to be torched. Or maybe you've got good trees and you do have a wildfire come through, and it's so thick because it hasn't been managed and cut and thinned out that it roars through it and it just fuels it and keeps it going.
That's right.
It's those are the things that we're working with here in Michigan that our forests really haven't been properly managed through the years.
And I give kudos to the state, because they are. I know in the area north of me, they've gone into the federal lands and the state lands, and they've cut. They're like on a every 10 acre. They'll cut 10 acres, leave 10 acres.
Right.
They'll checkerboard it.
Yeah, they're not going through and just clear cutting it.
Right. No. They go in. They go in and they'll cut 10 acres out, move, cut more 10 acres. So they're not clear cutting it. It's given the wildlife some place to go and then come back to.
Right.
More food.
Right. It's they're getting on top of the mismanagement of the past, and they're trying to get private landowners on
That's
board
the
as
whole.
well, and that's what this tax break is doing.
That's what they want. They identify that the private landowner can help in this, and so by doing this, we'll give you a little tax break to help you out for doing it.
Right on.
And really, I looked at the plan and I kind of went through it. I was looking through it and I was like, wow, I don't have to do anything until 2030.
Right.
And I can always talk with them and say, hey, if I want to plant this or I want to add this, what do you think?
Yep.
And it's always good to have somebody to go back to that, to me, is a professional in the business.
Yep.
And he'll know where, if there's any oak wilt, if it's coming, or the budworm, where it's at.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that, and when I can get there and start throwing out ideas, like if I want to plant like a mini orchard or something.
Right.
No.
He's gonna let you know what grows good in that type of soil and those conditions in that area.
And he knows that, because he mentioned it. He goes, if you want to plant anything, plant. I want to say it was white oak.
That's that's one of the things that we're hearing in our area as well, and really across the board, because the red oak, when it gets oak wilt, it transfers through the root system because it's all interconnected underneath the soil. The roots graft to each other, and in a white oak, they don't root graft.
Yep.
So that's one thing that helps to stop
And
it.
also, the acorn is sweeter.
Right. Yep. That's the other thing. So.
Yep.
It's just little things like that I never knew about, and going to a couple QDMA meetings and a couple of habitat workshops and talking with different people and talking with foresters. I'm starting to gain a little knowledge here about how to set up our property to thrive.
Right.
Even though right now we're in the middle of getting hammered by these two diseases, the spruce budworm and the oak wilt disease.
Matter of fact, I was invited. I got an email, I think, because I got put on the list. I'm entering my property into this. They're having a seminar in September up in Alpena, I think.
Okay.
Where it's the forestry, and they're going to go tour some tree farms and stuff.
Okay.
And I can't remember the names of the groups that are there, but you can come up it's a Friday and Saturday. You come up, you go to these meetings, and they'll talk about it, and then they'll take you on a tour.
I think you need to pass that information along to me, because I have not heard that, and that's in my area. So
we'll find the information right in my phone.
Absolutely. So I tell you what, we're going to take our next break. We're going to continue to stay outside, and I just now got a phone call, so it's a good time to take a break. We'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet. I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
All right, we're back for our last segment of our outdoor podcast. We're an outdoor show. We need to do a show outdoors every now and then. So one thing one of the people on the live stream just brought up is our PSE guru and rep here in Michigan and Ohio, Dan Yassa. He listens to a lot of podcasts, and he hates when there's all these little extraneous noises in the background. So all birds in the area, be quiet. All cars, all trucks, motorcycles.
Stop it.
Everybody be quiet. Okay, so that's for you, Dan.
Ashley and him are laughing right now.
That's good.
So, Dan, we've told everybody to stop. So after this point, it's not our fault.
That's right. Can't blame that on us.
And Chris pointed it out, and Ashley pointed it out to us, so we told everybody to stop because of you.
So,
but anyways, I was invited to that, but I am going up this weekend to put in some food plots.
You are.
Well,
what are you planting?
Okay, so being this late in the year, and really, I'm just starting out. These are brand new
2 tracks, roads that they've plowed through to cut your land.
Actually, they got a bulldozer, and these are the landing areas for the logs.
Okay.
So they bulldozed them, and it's freshly turned dirt, I think.
Okay.
Till this day. So I said, you know what? I got some soil samples done. I'm going to go up and do some fertilizing.
Okay.
And then I'm going to plant. Actually, I'm going to do your thing this year. I'm going to do the winter rye.
Okay.
And I'm going to get some red clover.
Okay.
It's not the mammoth.
Okay.
They don't have it.
All right.
But I am going to do that, and I'm going to get that, into the ground this weekend. Mm-hmm. I got some other stuff too that I've had for a few years, just some odds and ends. I got some climatized from you,
okay.
And I'm going to throw that out there. But for this year, that's what I'm going to do just to get it started.
Get something going, give the deer something to say, hey, there's food here.
I'm going to get the nutrients into the ground with the fertilizer and the lime.
Okay.
And then I'm going to throw something down, some seed-wise. I got the rye, the clover, and then I got a smorgasbord of other stuff that I'm going to put out.
So you're putting out a buffet.
I'm trying. I don't know how well it grows. You're going
to put a little sneeze guard up there so they don't sneeze all over?
Yeah, I will. I'll put up a little sneeze cage.
Okay.
See how it does.
There you go.
But I'm just starting out. So I'm hoping to do this year, get the nutrients in the ground, and then probably pull some soil samples again next when I'm up there in the spring. And see where it's at.
See if it's added to it.
Right.
Where it's at. I got you.
Yep, because this is just... I got a cultipacker and I got a drag harrow.
Where in the world did you get something like that from?
The one and only Cabela's.
Cabela sells cultipackers and drags.
Yes, they do.
All right. I'm going to have to borrow that, I think, here one of these days and take it up and...
It's up north.
Pull it behind my... I'll just go to his camp and take it.
Okay. You heard him, folks. He's going to come up to my camp.
Yeah. Yeah, across the bridge. It won't be Labor Day, but...
Yeah, right. So, but no, I'm going to do that this weekend. I'm just starting out, so my expectations are not high.
Okay.
When I go back up, probably
the
second week of October, that'll give it 4 or 5 weeks of growing. Expectations, not high, but if I got something growing, it's all good for there.
Right on. Well, I'm going to be up north this weekend, and I'm going to work on my food plot as well. I planted climatize, end of May, I believe, 4th week of May, somewhere in there. Stuff shot up. My grow cage is full. But I have nothing left in the field.
They wiped it out.
The deer, they've wiped out everything that we've planted, including the climatize that I planted. I now have a scrub field that I've got to do something with. So I've got Killer Food Plots Carnage that's for the late season. I'm going to plant that. We're going to plant it, we're going to fertilize it, and then we're actually going to go in and mow the weeds down and anything else that's in there that's left, and let that be a barrier to hold moisture.
Right.
And so we're going to plant the seeds first. They get down through what's left there, get down and get ground contact, and then put the fertilizer on, and then we're going to cut it tight.
Right.
Mow it right down. Or one of the other options we had was maybe even tilling the field. But I don't know if we're going to do that. I don't know time-wise.
Yeah, you were up against time, right?
Yep. So we're probably going to do the broadcast, the seed broadcast, the fertilizer, and then we're going to mow it. So
okay,
that's the plan. But the deer have literally eat everything out of my field. We've got a couple other fields that some things have been planted in, and they have actually chomped that down to dirt as well.
What's your feelings on that? On your field being literally mowed down to nothing?
It's good and bad. It tells me we got too many deer on the property. Our carrying capacity for the land is way out of reach. Unfortunately, our camp is one of the few camps around that food plots. So we're like
buffet central.
Yeah. Hey, let's go to the buffet. Let's go over here and eat. So we do attract a lot of deer. The carrying capacity, it's tough. We're feeding a lot of deer.
You you see these people that have pictures of their fields that are getting lush and green and everything. You didn't even get to that.
No, in my growth cage we did. In my growth cage, yeah, I've got, green plants growing on it. It's 3 or 4 feet high. It's beautiful. But we talked about fencing it, doing electric fence around it.
Oh yeah, okay.
With a solar panel and doing that, and that's something I may contemplate next year. Some of the other crops we plant, you're talking about the rootstock rye and the mammoth red clover combination that we did. We've got clover right now that our camp manager told me today that there's fields up there right now that it's knee sock high.
The clover?
Yeah, so you're talking 8 inches to a foot tall, and deep. But the thing with that is it was protected and allowed to grow because we planted the rye, and the rye grew taller.
Did you mow the rye?
We mowed some of it, but not all of it. We use that for fawning. It helps to hide the fawns, but it also forces the deer to work through that taller plant material to get down to the clover.
Right.
So once that all kind of falls off, then the clover gets exposed. So we've got some good clover left. I think we've got one alfalfa strip that's getting hammered as we speak. So right now we're going into our late planting season up there.
Absolutely.
And that's one reason I'm putting the carnage back out. We're going to run carnage this year in my field and compare it to some of the other things that we're doing out there. So the border patrol that we planted, it's grown up. It's got 4 or 5 foot tall, but it hasn't taken off. We're running into some soil conditions up there that we got to figure out what to do for it.
For next year.
So
all right, yep.
We've got to be able to get that to get to that 8 to 10 foot range.
To get above what they can see.
Yeah, it's really tough. We got super sandy soil. I mean, you pour water on the ground and it goes right. It goes right through.
It drains really well.
Yeah, it's blow sand. So that's what we're working with, and we're working with Nick Percy trying to figure out a combination of things that's going to actually work.
Right,
up there.
exactly. And that's one thing about Nick is you give him a problem, he's probably going to try to figure it out by next year.
Oh yeah, yep. So we're kind of a testing facility right now for him, or at least my field is. So.
You definitely sounds like it.
Yep. So and I'm pulling camera cards this week. I've got 8 cameras in the field. I got 2 more Brownings. We talked about them last week or week before last. I can't remember which. So I've got 2 new cameras to put in the field as well. And I'm going to look at stand placement. I've got 4 stands out right now. They're in the field, but they're not
where you want them.
They're not, right where I want them. So, looks like Chris Schnur there is growing some ears of corn. Is that your food plot source? There's a story behind that, and maybe we'll get Chris to talk about that.
We'll have to get Chris. Actually, you know what? If we do, we're going to do that Facebook Live because you got to see the facial expressions when we talk about corn.
So
that's an whole inside joke.
Yep. So,
but anyways, you're right. I'm pulling cards as well. I've had my cards up since July.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming the batteries should be dead. Maybe. I don't know. It depends on how active.
That's something I really don't have an issue with. I run Energizer lithium batteries. I mean, we joked here at the beginning of the show talking about a battery dying and had to swap out batteries. But Energizer lithiums are what I use. And when I charge them up, I put them in April, May, and occasionally I'll have one that might die, but usually they last all the way up until November.
This year I'm using, I got them last year, the Cabela's cameras, so I'm expecting them to still, I think because I was using old cameras,
right?
The batteries were going, now these new cameras with just 8 AA's is like totally different.
Right, what are you looking at?
Black smoke.
Somebody's burning or something's on fire. Not in my house.
And by the way, Chris,
that was 4 years ago.
You're not sorry. I saw that. But anyways, yeah, so I'm excited to see what's on the cards because it only took a day and a half in July that we had a bear on camera.
Right.
So, matter of fact, my cousin is planning to bear hunt up there. I don't think he's going to be bear hunting the property.
Okay.
I think he's going to be just north of us.
Okay.
Where there's more concentration of bears.
Okay.
So check for that, and then. But yeah, I'm excited to get up there. I think I'm going to get another camera or 2 at the end of when we go do Cabela's. I'll take that money and maybe get 2 more cameras.
Gotcha. Oh, man. That's
nothing like
about 25, 30 geese. I should have the bow in my hand.
Right. Oh, they're not landing.
They're circling. They didn't like what they saw.
I'm excited to look at those pics. So you got your cameras out. It'd be nice to see what bucks you're starting to see, how they're doing.
Some of the reports we're getting back, we're starting to see a few shooter bucks on the property. I was really concerned because the first time I pulled my cards, didn't see squat. And I was like, uh-oh, this is not good. There's been some things with the logging process that's went on, with some different things that our neighbors are doing. Things are going to change a lot. Another neighbor of ours actually started logging last week. So it's the dynamics and deer movement and patterns of what we've been seeing typically on the property for the last 4 or 5 years
are going to change.
I think they changed when one neighbor to the east of us did a big logging project, and then they sold the property to somebody else after they harvested all the timber. So that all changed. So now we're getting it on the other end of the property, on the south side. So that camp's doing some logging as well, plus what we're already doing. So, it's definitely going to change deer movements, but that's what makes you a better hunter. You start seeing things change. You got to evolve.
Makes you think
and move, and yeah, just like the deer do. You got to think, okay, where are they going to go now? What's the travel patterns going to be? How am I going to get access and set up an ambush on how are they accessing our food plots?
Right, exactly.
Things like that. So.
Absolutely, and that's all part of the time now. Right?
Well, and that's the thing too. You need to, when you're looking at a piece of property or your camp, don't think about hunting just your camp. Think about the whole surrounding area. I mean, look at 2 or 3 miles around and look what kind of food sources are there, what kind of water sources are there. Look at travel corridors, look at the topography of the land, and try to figure out, these movement patterns of what's actually happening around you. Not just your property, but the people around you.
Exactly. It's just not your acreage.
Right.
There's a lot of influences when you get to hunting season. It's kind of nice to know, and we try to find out. Okay, so how many people are hunting down at that end, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, they got a full 10 people down there.
Right.
Okay, so it's going to be pretty heavy down there. So maybe hunt closer to that edge because they're going to be pushing them out.
Right. It's that game of trying to one up a buck.
Yeah. Good luck on that.
So, but we're running up here towards the end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed our outdoor episode. Danny and I shot a few arrows down range and got a little bit of practice in, having a little fun actually while we're sitting here talking to you guys.
Rocky Cummins joined.
Hey, good seeing you there again, Rocky. Good to see you join the show tonight. Thanks for stopping in.
And Chris Schnur's making a comment.
Yeah, Chris. Okay, we're going to have a talk with him next time we're down at Cabela's.
We're going to get him on the show is what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be down at the New Chesterfield store on
September 30th.
September 30th for the Deer Nations, the big event down there for Deer Nations. So you look for Danny and I to be down there. And actually, I might be at that store sooner than later.
You just don't know yet.
I don't know yet. Doing some work for Vortex Optics, and there's word that I might be headed to that store instead of Dundee.
Right.
So wherever they want me, that's what we do. We just go where they need us.
That's right.
So, all right, folks. Those of you on the live stream, thanks for tuning in. And for those of you on the podcast, I hope it wasn't too confusing. We talked about a lot of things that we were showing, so I hope we didn't take away from our listeners as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed.
And if they do, they can always go back to Facebook and see the video of it.
And you post that when?
I post it on Wednesdays.
And it's on Facebook?
It's on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube, and it'll be on Vimeo.
On
so
Wednesday.
Look for the post on Facebook to get your links to YouTube and Vimeo.
So other than that, next week, remember, there's going to be no live stream. We're actually going to be heading up to my camp, and he's going to be heading to his camp. So we've got a pre-recorded show, and we talk with Dan Yassa. It's talking about getting ready for season, some things you can work through, how to practice, gear, talking about arrows from the nock to the tip, talking about how to set things up. And we also got an interview with a gentleman who is helping, Heroes on the Water is the group that it's called, helping our military and our EMT guys, our firemen, our policemen, all first responders get out on the water and have a fun day fishing here in southeastern Michigan. So you don't want to miss that as well. So anything else?
Nope. See you in 2 weeks.
Have a safe Labor Day, guys and gals. Get out there, get in the woods, get in the water, and whatever you do, as we always say, shoot straight and be safe until next week.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls, and
Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.